Okay. We will start with Linux first. Okay. I would be covering only the basics of it, basic commands, and as and when progress, just to boot up your Linux skills. And as and when progress, if more and more conceptual is required just for enables and some other stuff, okay, I will add on to that lectures. Okay. So, so that's the stuff because I can't start directly a Docker and just log into Linux environment, and someone coming from Windows background might feel it it's like a bit difficult to catch it up. Okay, but all the commands for today, if you have already worked on your environment, it's almost you will know most of the commands. Okay, and also I will also covering the YAML scripting today. So these are the two prerequisites I'm going to cover in today's session. Okay, and then we will start with these are the prerequisites I will cover in today's session. As I said that in this DevOps sessions, I will be covering more in depth in Kubernetes because the market trends has for the Kubernetes has grown for in the last 6 months a lot actually. If you get in depth knowledge of Kubernetes, you will have a good chance to move into the DevOps profile. Okay. Okay, after all these covers, then we will have the 3 hour sessions for Jenkins. Okay, for few sessions. Okay, so altogether it will take around 18 sessions to complete, and it will be total 54 hours of sessions. It might increase to 3 hours more, or it might decrease to 3 hours more. That all depends on the number of questions that was asked during the sessions and all the stuff. Okay, the Okay. As part of our sessions, we are covering some of the prerequisite also because we also require to have some basic understanding of Linux and also YAML and shell scripting also we require. Okay. So I will covering the basic Linux and YAML today, and shell scripting I will cover as and when we start working on it. Okay, there are some questions uh, in the chat. One second. Okay. So I will also going to share you the slides. Okay. So you will always have the slides in case you miss out the sessions. Also, the recordings will be shared to you, and I will upload on my learning management system. Okay. Some of the recordings I won't upload it because they are already uploaded and refined and already there. Okay. But all the if I change something in the sessions, it's like if you're adding up something, I will upload the LMS. So and also the slides which I use for the sessions, I will share to you over the Google Docs. Okay, so that way we will work in that framework. Okay, because I rather than send directly sharing you the recording, that will be much easier to me. I go move to the concept of learning management system nowadays because suppose in future if I add because these all DevOps technologies are very fast changing. Okay, what I'm teaching was 6 months back. I've changed a lot while I'm teaching today. Okay, so some of the even the Kubernetes concepts have changed a lot actually in the last 6 months. So the why I have decided to move to learning management system. The benefit is that you will always have the latest concept. So if you are looking to back to learning management system after 2 years, so lots of stuff might change actually after 2 years. Okay, then that won't be useful if I say just share the recordings of this time. Okay, But learning management system will continuously updating all the new features. Okay, some features might be deprecated also for some DevOps tools. Okay, so that's where you always have the latest stuff in the learning management system. Okay, when you go and visit your learning management system. Okay, I have my own website and where I host the learning management system. I will share to you for all those folks who will enroll for this session. Okay. Okay. So coming to Linux. So what is Linux? So the concept of Linux comes with the open source operating system. Okay. So all these source codes of Linux are open source. You can go, you can see. If you want to, you can modify. You can redistribute under the same license that was the was created. Okay. So so you can redistribute on the original license. So that's the whole and sole basic concept of Unix and Linux operating system. Okay. The kernel of Linux operating system is monolithic kernel. That means all these services, okay, and the services and the core functionality, just like because what your Linux kernel contains your is like your drivers, okay, the all the drivers part, okay, the device drivers, just like your keyboard drivers, CPU, mouse drivers, and all the drivers, okay. Along with it also contains your file system, okay, the file system that you have installed, okay, uh, and also the core functionality like the scheduling of the process, okay, the scheduling of the process, the scheduling of RAMs to a particular process, and all the stuff is also the part of your kernel. Okay. In Linux, it's a monolithic kernel. That means that if you are in one service, you can go to another service without shifting your the spaces. Actually, it's like because once you inside the kernel, you can move to other part of the kernel, you can access the other kernel modules without any blocking sections. So the bottom line, what I'm telling is that I want to say that about the difference between monolithic and microkernel is like if you have some Linux concept that if you know the IO cutter function, once you do the IO cutter function, you move from user space to your kernel space. Once you move that, if you can call any modules in the kernel space, and when you exit out, then you have to again do the IO cutter to move into your monolithic kernel space. Okay. There is third type of kernel is called hybrid kernel, which is a mix of you can say the mix of it's not monolithic and microkernel, okay, but we are not going into deep into it because that's not related to this session, okay. So the Linux are based on Unix, okay. It's highly secured, and one of the reason why it is highly secured is the open source, because lots of geeks are actually looking into the code, and if they find it any security vulnerabilities, they are creating defects also. They are also some of them are even fixing it and providing a change set to approve it. Okay, their community is very large. Okay, and there are different distributions. Okay, so they are different distributions means for different the code kernels remain the same, but the other libraries changes for different distributions, such as CentOS, Ubuntu, Fedora. They are from the different organizations, so that's why they are different distributions. Okay? But the code kernels remain the same. The upper libraries changes between these different distributions. Okay. So some of the commands which might be working on CentOS won't work on Ubuntu and Fedora, but most of the commands will be similar. So here is the pictorial representation that how Linux kernel looks. So on top of hardware, you have your kernel, okay, which has the device driver, file system, scheduling, memory allocations, and all the stuff. On top of that, then you have the software, just like you install browsers, you install games, documents, and software for handling your documents, okay, and something like that, okay, or the seats and the presentations. Okay, so I have this. Uh, Linux node. Okay, this is Ubuntu node, and I will use for today's session. I will use this node. Okay, and I for the hands-on session, and And I expect that if you are new to Linux, then you just go to practice it out once. That will be helpful. Because if you are very new to Linux or if you are coming from Windows background, just practice it out because it will be helpful for the future session. Because we will be using these all. These are the basic commands, but we will be using very frequently also. Okay, in every sessions, either so one or two commands we can going to use as part of understanding the concept, different concepts of different developments. Okay. For other folks who has a knowledge of Linux, they can skip this part. Okay. And they can skip the today's sessions also because that won't be much helpful to them. Okay? Because I won't be covering the more depth commands also, because as and when in progress, as and when required, we are going to cover it. Okay? Today we are going to cover only the basics ones. Okay. So the first command is the man command. So man command is the manual. Okay. If you doesn't know any what particular command does, you just do the man and just type the command. Okay? So it will give you the description that what the ls command, just like I do man ls. So it just lists the diet. It says that it will list all the dietary contents. Okay. These are the multiple options here. Okay. And you can scroll it down also by scrolling down your bottom key. And if you want to queue this page, you have to type Q. Okay, then you are going to exit out from this page. Okay, the another command is the ls command. What ls command does, it will list out all your folders and files in the current directory. Okay, so it will list out. So there, these are the folders that are there. Okay, these are the files that are there. Okay. There is another command if you want to list it in a different format and a digital format is ls-l, which is in list format. Okay, so it will show it in this format where you can see that where when it was created, what the size of this files, and okay, and what the access to that one and who owns it out. Okay, so this means that this can be accessed by root itself, and others is only the routine user group it can access. Okay, this all shows that the first character of this shows that whether it is a file or directory. If it is dash only, it is a file. Otherwise, if you written D, it's a directory. And this is the access for this user, the current user which I will log in. Okay, I will also show that how to use that. Okay, this is the access that is providing to the groups of this user. Okay, the user groups and the groups where this user belong to, and this is the access that is was given to the other all the other users. Okay. So the Linux you can have multiple users also. So that means that you can create a multiple users, and many users can simultaneously log in and work on that same also instance or same Linux node. Okay. Uh, there is also a command called ls-la. A will show you all the hidden files. Okay. So in this one, these files were not visible in previous command. So because they were hidden. Okay. So for looking into the hidden files, you have to give the A. You have to append the A option with that. Okay, so for since you when you logged in, you are in particular folder. Okay, and if you want to see that where I am in the currently, you have to type pwd. Okay, that is also your present working directory. So you are inside the root folder. Okay, and these are the other folders inside the root. Okay, and these are the files inside the root. Okay, so pwd will show your present working directory. Okay, and it's a very useful command if you want to see where you are. Okay, and which user, because there can be n users in this on this itself, this Linux node, there are n number of users that is already been created. So which user you have logged in. Okay, so the command is who am I, if you type, and If you press enter, it will show your username. So I am logged in as a root user. Okay. Okay. For example, if I exit it out here, okay. Now if I do who am I, so my now my username is swamtest. Okay. Don't go to this command which I am typing here. I will come to this one. Okay. How this is working. So who am I will list out your which user you have logged in. Okay. Okay. Uh, the command echo will print on terminal. Okay. So all the print of it called the terminal is called also called a console. Okay. If you do echo and something, it will print it out. Okay. This is mostly used in scripting. Actually, when you want to print after some few lines of your code, script code, then you can use that. Okay. If I do something, whatever you do with the echo command, it will print out. Okay. Or if you have some variables just like echo, and if there are some variables that was set as suppose dollar home. Okay. If the home is set up, okay, it will show that what the value of that home. Okay. We will come to that how to set up this one, but it will print it out. Okay. So that's the use of echo command. Okay, so you are at so PWD. I just tell that it will show your the current working directory, and ls will show you all the files in that directory. Okay, so there is another directory called this mm, called test. Okay, so if I want to move to another directory, I have to do cd. Okay, and then I have to do dot means current directory. Okay, then I have to do dash slash, okay, forward slash and test. Okay, so it will move to test directory. Another way, shortcut way is to, like, if you do cd and do test, it will move to the test directory. Okay, but if you want to move to some other directory from the root of from the top level folder hierarchy, then you have to do cd. Then you have to know that, okay, slash, that means from the top hierarchy. If you do cd slash test, it won't work because there is no directory from the top level, because test is there inside the root. Okay, so cd, if you do slash root slash test, it means the same stuff. Okay, but with the help of this top level, uh, if you do forward slash, that means you are on the top level and there is another folder for temp, then you can move to the temp. Okay, so now you have moved on. You are not inside the slash root region. Now you are inside the temp folder. Okay, so so if you are moving from the current directory, you don't have to give this slash or dot slash. Okay, but you have to but if you want to move it to other directory that doesn't belongs to the subdirectory of the current of your current directory, then you have to apply this one. Okay, if you type only cd, it will move to your home directory. Okay, so every user has his home directory. Okay, so for root users it is slash root. Okay, so if I just do cd, it will go to your home directory, which is slash root. For if I do exit here, okay, and if I do cd, so I am here it like slash homes slash swarm test. Okay, so I'm in different directory. Okay, okay, and to come out of suppose I go move to this test folder, okay, or test directory, and I want to go a directory level up. Okay, so I have to do cd. And if you want to go one level up, you have to do just dot dot. If you want to get into two level up, then you have to give again forward slash and dot dot. Okay, then you go to two level up. Okay, so my current directory is only slash. If I do cd again, I will move to my home directory, which is slash root for root user. These are the very basic commands, and I think most of the folks already know that. I'm just coming for one or two folks who are from a different background. Okay. Uh, so you have many files here. Okay. If you want to read any file, just like I want to read this file, I have to do cat, and if I do rc.yml, it will just display the content of this file. Okay. So cat commands display the content of the files. Okay. It doesn't apply to folder. It only applies to file. And if there are many, if the file size is very long, there are many contents actually, you can pass it to pipe and then less. That means that and then you can press your enter to read it all the contents actually. If it doesn't fit in one screen actually. Okay. I'm not showcasing it right now, but you can take it. Okay. Okay. So, so the sudo is there are two purpose of sudo. One is that sudo is also a groups. Okay. So if someone will tell you that move this user to sudo group, that means that and this group has a lots of privilege. That means it can execute any commands to that. So if some user is in sudo group, it can use any commands. Okay. And the second is like if you are a user and that doesn't have the privilege of sudo, and if you want to execute some commands and that doesn't have the privilege. Okay. So different commands in the Linux has a different privilege. Okay. So you can't install a new library if you are not a sudo users. Okay. So that means that if your user is not part of sudo group. Okay. So then you have to, and but if still you don't want to switch user to run that command, you have to append the sudo commands, and then you have to run that commands. Okay, just to have this privilege. Okay, just okay. So something like this user is sudo. I think the other user also sudo. I think so. Okay, so if I do just look into this command. Okay, I will get to this command later actually. Okay. Okay. If I running some commands here, okay, what I'm getting permission denied, okay, because this user doesn't have the privilege to update the existing libraries of the software. Okay, this command updates your library of software. So what you required here, you require to append a sudo here. Okay, and then apt get run this command. Okay, if I do so, it will check that whether this user is a part of sudo group. If yes, it will allow to install that, run that command. So different users have different privilege. Okay. And different, and you can have multiple groups actually, and you can assign the privilege to different groups actually, and user belongs to some or other groups. Okay. I just covered update will going to update your existing libraries. Okay. Some systems use yum repo, some systems use RPM. Okay. If you have an RPM file to install a new software, you can use the RPM-ibh and give the RPM commands. Okay. Okay. And if you have the yum, then you can use the install package. Okay. Okay. And if you do a sudo su, then and even if that user is not a part of sudo group, if you do sudo su hyphen and something, And then you have to give the root password. Sometimes it will ask the root password or to execute this command. Okay, so even if you didn't have the suppose I'm a user, I don't have a privilege, but I know the root password. So I can jump to the root user and then execute that command. You don't have to do that if you have the root password. Then if you do append the sudo with that command, if you don't have the privilege, it will ask for your root password. If you provide it, then you can execute this command. Okay, having a root password means you are owning the system system. Okay, so this is important command, and we will see it very long time, very much actually, okay, frequently. The command called curl. Okay, so what curl command does? Curl command will fetch the get information, or you can even, if you are using a web service application, you can even the post request using the curl command also. So if you do curl, suppose HTTP, and you just give any website, okay, it will return you the website's content actually. Okay, so this curl command is to fetch information from any server that acting as a web services. Okay, or just for any website, if you do, you will get the information. Okay, you will get the information that it is sending back. Okay? So curl command is very important because nowadays the most of the applications is now getting deployed uh, as a web services. So, and to communicate is like from the command line, this becomes only the curl is the only option to communicate it. Okay, until unless you automate it. Okay. Even this, if you install Docker and other softwares also, even the Kubernetes, they all have some of other interfaces that have the web services host. So that's why this command is very important. Thanks for that. So it retrieves or submit information from URL and from internet, okay? And you just it works on both protocol, HTTP and HTTPS protocol. Okay. 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 So uh, I want to add a new user. Okay, so and I want to give access to a new user. Okay, but I don't want to uh, give my own user credentials. Okay, then what I have to do? I have to create a user. Okay, so on a Linux machines, you can create in the multiple users. Okay, so to create a new user, is command is for user add. Okay, and then you have to provide a username. Okay, so I just provide user add DevOps. Okay, so DevOps user is created. Okay, and then you have to give a password to user because you don't want a security to be available. Okay, so the command is pass wd, and then you have to give the user id. Okay, then it will you have to give some password here. Okay. Okay, so and but if you provide only pass wd, it will change the password for the current user. Okay, so that's a problem. Okay. Similarly, you can create groups, and you can also see different groups also. Okay. Uh, So if you tag groups, it will list all the groups, and if you add a groups, it will just group add. It will add a new group, and if you want to delete a group, it's called group delete. Okay. And similarly, if you want to delete a user, if you have a user delete, only the user with the prevail level of root can only delete the users. Okay. I'm not going to repeat this one again. Okay. Similarly, you can modify a user, and you can add a user by modifying it to a group name. Okay, uh, and to for user name. So if you do user mod, okay, and if you want to add a user to a group name, So you can use the your mod hyphen a hyphen capital G. Then you have to provide a group name that is created, and then you give the username. Okay, that username you want to add to it. Okay. So su command I've already shown to you, but if you want to see this one, if you do su command, su means switch user. Okay. So uh, then what you have to do, if you do su command, it will switch the user. Okay. And if you are using switching a user, something like this. Okay. Okay, it will ask for a password. Okay. Okay, I given the wrong password actually. Okay, but since this user is part of Sudora group, okay, and it has access to root level, same privilege as root. If I do su sudo su hyphen root, okay, so you can add sudo to any command, okay, or to any commands, okay. So you can add sudo to any commands, okay, and if you add a sudo to any commands, what you can do, uh, uh, you can actually becomes a root, you can actually executing that commands as a root user privilege. Okay, so if I do su hyphen root, it asking you for a root password. But since this user has a similar privilege as a root, if I do sudo su hyphen root, it will switch to that user. Su commands is switching to is the switch user. Okay, so it is switching to that user. Okay. Okay. Similarly, if you want to exit from the current user, you have to type exit. Okay. If I do exit, it will exit from the current user. I will take up the questions later. Okay. So I'm not watching that. I think that there are some couple of questions that was triggered. So I'm not looking at the questions. I will take up questions later. Okay. Chmod is to change a file permission. So what does it means? If I do ls hyphen l, okay, you can see different users, okay, different files and all the stuff. Okay, so if you see this privilege, okay, so this privilege is like for this user, it can read and write these files. Okay, this year the groups this user groups can only read this and others can only read this. But that doesn't mean that you can't change the privilege. You can change the privilege, and you can also assign a different privilege using the chmod command. Okay, so the idea here is that it depends on what commands you pass. Okay, so chmod is to change the file permission. Okay, so 7 is like if you the first letter will denote for the current user, the second letter denote for the current user groups, and the second and the third letter denotes for the all other users throughout the system. You can only change a file permissions if you own that file. Okay, so so what permission you want to give, it depends on this all 7 letters. Okay, so if you are giving 0, that means you won't have any permission. If you are giving 1, that means that file will have only execute permission. If you are giving 2, that means it will have only write permission. If you have 3, that means it will have a write and execute permissions. Similarly, 4 will have only have read permission, 5 will have read and execute, 6 will have read and write, and 7 will have all the permissions of read, write, and execute. Okay. So suppose let me change the privilege for this file. Okay. So what I need to do, if I need to assign Currently, I have currently I can, as a root user, can only read and write this file. Okay, but I want to have read and execute. That means I, for me it should be 7. For others, they can read these files. Okay, but sorry, they can read these files. But I don't want them to even to read to them. Okay, for others, I want to only to read to them. Okay, so I will do 1, and for others in the same group, and for the all the other users, I don't want any privilege, so I will do this. If I do so, and if I have to give file name here, okay, so what we will do, it has changed this privilege of this users. Okay, so what has becomes now, I can execute. So I can read, write, and execute because I given permission to me as 7. Okay. For others, I just tell it can read. Okay. The 1 is for only for execute. Okay. 1 is for execute permission. So others can only execute this file. Okay. It can't read it. It can't write and can change any container files. The others users in the group. Okay. And for the other, for all the users which is not even a part of the group, it can't even read these files. Okay. So this is the, I can change this privilege again and again to this file until unless I want these files. Okay. Okay. And now come to file operation. There is one important editor is called VI editor, which is called Vim, which is also called a Vim editor also. And if I open this file, okay, it will open a file where you can modify it very easily. Okay, not much commands, but there are few commands you want uh, to remember. Okay, just like to add something, you have to either do insert or append. Okay, so if you go to, so from the keyboard, the buttons up, right, left, right. Okay, up, down, left, right. You can move to that part. Okay, and then if you want to insert, you have to type I in the keyboard, and if you want to append, that means after C, I type A in the keyboard. Okay, you will show it will show insert here. Okay. Uh, Second is that, and if you want to come out from the insert mode, okay, to read only mode, you have to type escape. Okay. The second important command is uh, delete. Okay. If I want to delete a line, you have to type double D in the, on the keyboard. Okay. So it deleted this line. If I want to delete this line, I have to type double D. Okay. Deleted this line. There are lots of commands actually that you need to learn, but these are all the basic ones. To save this file, then what you have to do, you have to do first get out into any mode. Actually, if you are in insert modes, if you type insert, type escape to get out into that mode, and then type colon and W. It will save this file. Okay, it will save your changes. Okay, just like your document you open and you do Control S to save your document. It will is colon W to find anything in the files. Okay, you have to type first // okay, and you can see it here what's the mode here. Okay, here it is very important to know. Then you have to type the text. Okay, suppose I've typed the text name. Okay, and then you have to press enter. Okay, it will see it has moved to this name here because it has find it out. Okay, but if I do something like XYZ, it will say pattern not found. Okay, so it didn't find anything in the file. Okay, so to quit this file, okay, the command is colon Q. Okay, you will come out from this editor window back to your terminal, and if you want to quit it without saving, then command Q colon Q and then exclamation mark. That means quit without saving. Okay, and but if you want to only quit, it says colon Q. If you want to save and quit, control W is for save, sorry, colon W is the save, and Q for quit. So it will save, and there are changes, and also quit it from this one. Okay, and you can read the file using cat, just like I said. Okay, you use the VI only if you want to change something. Okay, otherwise the cat and all the stuffs are very is much safer, because here you can't change the content of any files. Okay. 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 Now I want to copy. If you want to copy this file, okay. Suppose I want to copy this file. Okay. So the command to copy a file is called cp. Okay. Then you have to give the source file name. Okay. Then you have to give the target file name, and it should be a different one. So I just change the file name. Okay. So it will create a copy of this file in the same directory. Okay. But if you want to copy it to another directory, then you have to do copy and give the source file name. Okay. And if it is not in parent folder, then you give the full path /root/rc.yml. Okay, something like this, and then you have to provide the destination path. Okay, then it will copy it out and to that folder. If you go to okay, so it copy these files. Okay. You can also use wildcard characters. Okay, so suppose there are two files. Okay, RC and RC1, and okay, just before copy, let me delete it. Okay, so to delete a file, okay, or even a folder, the command is rm, and then you have to, we'll come to this one, and you have to give the file name. Okay, to delete. And suppose if you want to copy multiple files using your pattern, okay, then they provide your wildcard characters also. Just like they provide a multiple ways to do that. Even you can select the patterns also. They provide the patterns. They have the pattern matching way to select the files to copy. Okay? Then what you need to do, you have to do cp. Suppose I want to copy both files. Okay, so I need to do rc. Star is a wildcard character. Okay, then I do yml. So it will copy all the files which is starting with rc and ending with .yml, and in between it can be anything. Okay, it can be rc1. Okay, or you can do something like r star.yml. If I do something, okay, so it will copy all the files that start with r in the current folder, because I'm giving the current folder, and then an ending with .yml. So it contains rc1 and rc. It will copy it up. Okay, and then you are just provide your destination there. So I provide a destination. Sorry, test. Sorry. Okay. So if I go to folder test, okay, and if I give here, okay, so it copied both the files. Okay. Okay. You can also move a file to a different folder. Okay. So if I want to move this file to /temp folder, then I have to do mv. Then you have to provide the source file name. Okay. So this is my source file name. If the file is not in current directory, you don't need to switch to directory. You can provide the full name actually /root/test/rc.yml, and then you have to provide your destination folder /temp. Okay. So it moved this file. Then if you do ls-la, okay, then this file is gone from this folder. Okay. Another shortcut is ll actually, which doesn't work in some environment also. It depends on this command available or not. Okay. But in most of the Linux operating system, if it's not hardened, it is going to work. Okay. So this file is not here, so it has moved to /temp folder. Okay. So if I do ls/temp, okay, it has moved to here. Okay. Okay. Now I move to my home directory. So suppose I need to find some files. I'm in the top level actually. Okay, I'm the top level. I need to find the file with the name rc.yml. All file with the name rc with yml. Okay, so I can use find. Okay, then you have to give the path actually. If you want to find from your current directory, then you have to give the dot. If you want to find from a different directory, then you have to give the full directory name. If you want to find from the top level directory, then you have to give the slash. Okay, then you have to give minus name. Okay, then you have to give what you need to find. Okay, rc.yml. Okay, so what it will do, it will find all the files with the name rc.yml uh, from this folder. Okay, slash folder, which is the top level folder in the Linux environment. So it find two files, okay, with this name. Also similarly, you can also use the wildcard here. If I do r star.yml, so it will file all the files that are starting with yml and ending with .yml, and in star means any character can stay in between, or no character also can stay in between. If I do so, so it also finds the sf file rc1.yml, okay, because all three has the r at the starting and .yml at the end, and in between it can be anything. That's why it started with this. Okay. Okay. Now, till now we have find using find command. We have covered that how to find a files. Okay, but you can even search within a files. Okay, for a particular search patterns. Okay. So suppose, okay. So suppose, okay, I have this one. Okay. So suppose if I do grep. Okay. So command is grep. Then you have to give the content that you want to find. Okay. You can do, okay, and then you have to, if you want to give if you want to find if you want to search this character with the word name in all the files, then you have to give star actually. If you want to find it through a particular files actually, then you have to do star.yml, so it will only search with the file with the ending with .yml. And if you want to search in a particular file, then give the full name of the file. Okay, that depends on where you want to search actually. Okay. So if I do grep name star.yml, so it will, so from this current directory, it has searched from rc.yml. It has gone through it. It find name here. Okay. Then rc it finds twice here. Okay. Then in the rc.yml is also find the thrice, also not twice. Okay. Find the name in the thrice here. But if I do give xyz here, okay, it won't find it. Okay. Didn't find it anymore. Okay. If I do name and just only star here, okay, so it will try to check all the one actually, okay, but it didn't check the test because test directory. There is a way actually, even if you want to test on a subfolder also, then you have to give -r actually, then it will search recursively and also find this text in the files, all the files in the subfolders also. That is, I'm not going to do this right now, just for your knowledge. Okay. Okay. Now you have multiple Linux machines. Okay, and every Linux machine has its own IP. And if you want to ping that, okay, so the command, there are two ways you can ping out. Okay, either you need to provide your IP address. Okay, suppose this machine IP is sorry. Okay, so it is ping. It will ping to this machine. Okay, you can give any machines that is, you can give the IP address. Okay, or you can give the domain name to do ping, just like ping. Okay, or ping. So while installing your Linux, it also have the DNS configured, which is resolving this domain name server. Okay, and it's taking from the global domain name servers and converting it to IP. The global domain name server is converting it to IP and just sending it back. Actually, it is replying with the IP, but you can also ping with your domain name also. Okay, so that's the idea. This is the file where this all domain, the name servers is defined. Okay, so when you do this ping and you do any URL, okay, so it takes it approach to this name server to resolve this domain name into IP and find out the IP format. Okay, if it is wrongly configured here, we won't be able to resolve it out here. Okay. Okay. Uh, Using Telnet, you can actually connect to on a different protocol to a server. Okay, if I do Telnet, if they allow me to connect over Telnet, you can connect to a particular network. Okay, or there is another command called nslookup. This comes handy when you want when your domain name is not able to convert to IP. Okay, if I do nslookup, okay, so it will tell all the routes that is it has gone here. Okay, this server address, and then it has gone to this one, and it will say give you all the details that where it, if your ping is not working, then you can try nslookup to debug it out. Okay, to reach to that site. Because because while during this DevOps lecture, we are using multiple virtual machines also, so that comes handy. Okay. Okay. Now the free command will show you all the free memories. Okay. All the memory that is free. Okay. And df command is going to show you all the disk space. Okay, so these are all the different disk space in this that is mounted. Okay, that is our different file system that is mounted on this node. Okay, so what is the size, what it has been used after. Okay, so these two are the very important commands. Okay, and this free will show you how much memory is total, how many used, what are free, and what are the buffer size.